Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the Q2FY25 result of 4 companies, Metro Brands Limited, V-Mart, Go Fashion and Vedant Fashions. Okay, so first thing first, let us start with Metro Brands Limited, right? The business model is very simple, right? These people sell shoes or different types of footwear आप बोल सकते हो. अगर आप उनका business का split देखते हो, there is 70% of the sales, right, is coming from their own brands, and the other 30% of the sale is coming from third party brand. And over the years, what has happened is, like at least for the last 1 year, you would see that their product mix has little bit changed, right? In the sense कि like अगर आप उनका price point देखते हो, right, the price point above 3,000 rupees that contributes now almost 53% of the total sales, and the 1,500 to 3,000 का बीच का जो है that contributes 34%, which was this 1,500 to 3,000 का the price range that is there earlier, that used to contribute a lot. Now we are seeing about 3,000 is contributing a huge chunk, and especially below 1,000 category that is there, it has come down to hardly in single digits, that is less than 8% it has come down to. And this is a very conscious move that you'll see Metro Brands has taken over the year, is because once after that COVID happened, right, especially those shoes that were catering to under 1,000 rupees, these were the most impacted when the supply chain issue happened, when the raw material issue happened. And you will also see, right, if you look at this Khadims, if you look at Liberty, if you look at Bata, since majority of the sale is coming from that sub 1,000 category, that is why you will see those are most affected. You'll see that the sales in A hai. Now talking about Metro Brands over here, right, if you look at Q2FY25 result, if you see, sales grew hardly by 5.1% and PAT grew by 5.7%. Not something exciting to be about the result. Actually, if you look, this used to be a very good 25-30% ka growth engine. There was a time it also grew 40%, and now it has come down to 5%. Even the other disappointing factor is, like the once 25% ka growth engine, now the guidance in the con call is 12 to 15%, right? The guidance has been revised to the lower end, because the demand conditions that is there for this industry or the way they're operating is not really that great. At least it is better than what it was in Q1, but having said that, nothing promising you can tell is happening. Other than that, if you look with Metro Brands, more or less the most important thing that is happening over here, at least one good thing you can tell, is the store openings that are there. It is still continuing on track. Okay, they have a guidance to open 100 stores this year. If you compare to FY24 it was 836 stores, and they wanted to open 100 stores. They're doing on track only as of that. There is nothing, there is that's the only good thing you can tell. Okay, as of totally in H1, in net additions, if you look at it, that has been around 35 stores. The only thing over here, like I told you, right, one is the growth rate has come down, the demand condition is not good, and on top of that, if you look over here, like the other thing, as of now they have 836 stores, right? Now if you 836 as of FY24 I'm talking about, right? Now if you take this, extrapolate this, to double the store, it will at least take around again 8 to 10 years for them, and the store CAGR count comes up to like it comes at 9%, which is again making a very quite an uninteresting deal, you can tell, currently at this valuation. Okay? Another thing also to add on to the problem is their main brand, which is one of their brands, if you see, Walkway. Okay, so Walkway caters to the shoes between 1,500 to 3,000 in that range, and yahan pe the demand or the product that is there has not been accepted really well over here, and that has been resulted in no store openings at all in the first half of the year. So agar aap Q1 or Q2 mein dekhte ho, the entire H1, if you see, Walkway ka not even one store has been opened over here. So that is a little bit a bit disappointing, you can tell. So other than that, if you look, nothing much happening. Growth rate is not there, demand condition is good. The only thing is the store expansion is happening at that same pace it used to happen. And the other thing I would say is they are going, the acquisitions that are there. They acquired Fila. Agar aap dekhte ho, Fila mein they are trying to relaunch the brand this year. Next year onwards they will try to open the EBO. Other than that, they acquired Foot Locker, right? In the last few quarters they acquired Foot Locker. They opened the first store in Delhi for Foot Locker, but yahan pe kya ho raha hai na, they're not really keen on opening more stores as of this year. This year you'll probably see 4 to 5 stores open. Going forward from next year you'll see more stores opening, because यहाँ पर भी एक problem है. The problem is, अगर आप देखते हो entire footwear industry में, there is this BIS regulation. Now what is this BIS regulation? Where the government appoints a body, okay, where they tell you there has to be a certain standard for your raw material to be used. Now this is very important. Let's say if you're importing your raw material, या आप not just importing your raw material, but if you're getting some shoes from outside also, also, you know, like all these. Now इन्होंने फिला का acquire किया, Foot Locker का acquire किया, all these are international brands now. So over here it becomes a little bit of problem to see कि like, you know, going forward how this expansion will go forward, you know. So they're just waiting and watching कि like अभी हम 4-5 stores open करेंगे. Anyways at BIS regulatory has come, you know, it's full effective from July 31st. We will see how this progresses and उसके बाद, you know, the अगर existing brands जो है उसके then we will go ahead and see the expansion, ठीक है. Other than that, if you see the last thing I would say is उन्होंने एक I think this was न्यू एरा बोल के कंपनी को भी अक्वायर किया है, विच सेल्स मोरली लाइक एक लाइफस्टाइल ब्रांड है, विच सेल्स मोरली आपका कैप्स होता है ना, आपका एथलीशर कैप्स एंड एथलीशर का एथलीशर क्लोथ्स. दिस इज व्हाट दे सेल. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो दे आर हैविंग, यू नो, दे आर प्लानिंग टू ओपन द फर्स्ट स्टोर प्रॉबली इन द सेकेंड हाफ ऑफ दिस ईयर. सो दैट्स दैट अबाउट मेट्रो ब्रांड्स. सेकेंड हम बात करते हैं वी मार्ट के बारे में, ठीक है. वी मार्ट इज इन द सेम लाइन आपका स्टाइल बाजार एंड आपका V2 रिटेल जो है, इट इज़ इन द सेम कैटेगरी विच सेल्स अफोर्डेबल फैशन, या आप बोल सकते हो वैल्यू फैशन क्लोथ्स. दैट इज व्हाट दे सेल. ओके, नाउ इफ यू लुक ओवर हियर, रेवेन्यूज जो है उनका सेल्स जो है ग्रो बाय 20%. उनका पैट जो है, पैट वॉज नेगेटिव 641 crores लास्ट क्वार्टर. दिस टाइम इट इज़ 541 crores. दैट इज हाउ इट इज़, यू नो, 561 crores, ठीक है. अगर आप SSG देखते हो, कंसोलिडेटेड SSG अगर आप देखते हो, SSG इज ऑल्सो एट 15%. नाउ ऑल्दो इफ यू लुक in terms of sales growth, in terms of SSG, if you see that V-Mart is slowly picking up, but the problem is here it is not good enough, because if you look at this entire category, now we have two other players, right? We have V2 Retail and we have Style Bazaar. Both are growing their sales at north of 50%, say 50 to 60%. Both are having their SSG north of 30-35%, right? So when you compare it at them, right, both of them, when you compare over those two with this, it becomes a very uninteresting over here also. Same thing with V-Mart, V2 Retail and Style Bazaar का अगर आप देखते हो, ठीक है. एंड इवन देयर ऑल्सो, इफ यू लुक एट V2 Retail and if you look at Style Bazaar, their store addition is way higher compared to V-Mart, because if you look at V2 Retail, they told they will open 40 stores in a year in Q1 का con call, and then they came and told कि like हम लोग in Q2 alone, sorry, in Q2 if you look, and if you talk about the H2, in H2 alone we will open 40 stores. Forget about the पूरा साल, and they revise the guidance from 40 to 60. अगर आप V-Mart का देखते हो ना, V-Mart has hardly opened 21 stores over here. Last time also they opened in the similar rate, so that is around 80 stores, and उनका total store count है 467. So आपका lower growth है, lower store expansion है, and इसलिए आपको you are very uninteresting compared to, let's say, the likes of V2 and Style Bazaar, which are not only growing at a high rate, but उनका store expansion भी higher है, and not only that, they have like a very double growth engine, you know, जहाँ पे store expansion भी हो रहा है, along with that they have high double digit SSG also, which is a good combination. That is what you have to look for. Now the third company, if you see, third company is Go Fashion, ठीक है. Go Fashion has gone back to the previous way, because if you look at that company in the first quarter ना, there was a little bit of green shoot, right? Because उनका था पहला था Go Fashion was like, see, if you look at the entire FY24 का साल, the entire SSG was negative. So their the first goal for FY25 for this year was, let us get into 0% SSG at least, which is what they did in Q1 FY25, ठीक है. But again going forward in Q2 क्या हुआ, September का month was so bad for them, it was so terrible for them, they went back to the previous ways, they went back to square one. Okay, if you look at the revenue grew by 10%. अगर आप profit after tax देखते हो, it hardly grew by 3%, ठीक है. अगर आप SSG देखते हो, SSG is at 0.5%, right? They went, you know, they had to go at least 2 to 3% SSG that they were targeting for this year. Now again it is at 0.5%, and volume growth is even terrible. Volume growth has gone back again to negative 0.6%, ठीक है. So the problem here is, if you look at Go Colors, right, they've been really good with store addition. So every year they add around 120 to 150 stores. Okay, so now because they're adding these new stores, it is only because of that you're able to see that single digit growth. Now let's say if they stop adding these stores now, then the single digit growth also will not be there, because उनका जो SSG है, right, that is only not there. So you need the SSG and the new store expansion to both come together whenever you're talking about retail, ठीक है. And the other thing यहाँ पे, even in the store, अगर आप if you talk about their store expansion also, in the net total stores, if you look in Q2, they added only 21 stores. Okay, now here why it is a little bit, उनका थोड़ा store opening telling me there is a problem over here, because these people have increased their product offering. So now they are offering, I think, 300 to 500 products in a store. Okay, so what has happened over here is unka jo stores hai, usually they take a lot of pride in, in having this very small stores such as 190 square feet to 300 square feet. Now these small stores kya ho rahe na, they're not able to list all the product offering. Okay, so now what they have to do, they have to close the small stores and go to large format stores. Okay, and they're cancelling out the leasing agreement with any franchises if they're having, right? They're cancelling it out, or they're not renewing the leasing agreement with them. As a result, यहाँ पे ये भी और एक दिक्कत आ रहा है. ठीक है, so again it becomes very very difficult, to justify, because if you look at all these companies, whether you look at V-Mart, whether you look at Go Fashions, Metro Brands, right? यहाँ पे the PE is expanded too much because EPS not there, right? So the entire PE वहाँ पे खुल के बैठा है. That is a problem over here, right? You'll also see these stocks also at times are, you might be like, compared to its peers that are there in the space, you might think like, oh, this is very cheap, but there is a reason that it is cheap, is because if you look at other companies, you see the kind of EPS growth they have, you see the kind of revenue growth that they have, all the metrics are doing well compared to this. Go Fashion ka, things have not really changed for the better, it is still lagging. It is, if you look at that, the numbers are not really that great also. The last company that we'll be doing is Manyavar, Vedant Fashions. Okay. Now this has been a very surprising quarter for Manyavar and Vedant Fashion, because if you look at any B2C companies, right, Q2 is a bit of a lean quarter because of monsoon season. So वहाँ पे थोड़ा little bit sales जो है, throughout the year, if you see, it is clocked less compared to other quarters, right? And for Manyavar, if you look at Vedant Fashions, what is a more important thing is like these people sell ethnic wears, especially आपका ये शादी का कपड़ा, that is what they sell the most, right? They have this Mohe का brand, Tamve, Manyavar is the another brand. So all these sell wedding clothes and wedding attires. Okay. Now Q2 is the one quarter where we do not see much of a wedding because of rainy season, or we have that Ashada season, which is not so auspicious for all these for all these important functions. Now over here, if you see, the revenues that is there has been up by 22%. For the first time, I think in a lean quarter, that they're able to do such kind of revenue. If you look at the PAT has also been up. PAT is up by 37%. अगर आप उनका SSG, same store sales growth also, if you look, SSG is also at 17%. So all the metrics that are there have been looking good. But one thing I think is, what has happened well compared from last quarter to this quarter, what is that what has changed over here for them to achieve this kind of growth is something that I would like to read the con call and let you know. The other reason, if you see the last Q2, the base was so small, okay, because last Q2 mein, if you look, it was terrible for them because the monsoon got extended, and on top of that, the Diwali and Deepavali, Dasara and everything that were there, it got extended into, usually it happens between Q2 and Q3. Now it got, last time we saw that Diwali was prolonged. It was in the later half of Q3, right? So Q2 was very very bad for them. So it could also be like last Q2 ka base itna chota tha, so with comparison to that, anything can look better. That could also be one of the reasons. But or it could be some structural change that is happening in the company. They're doing something because of which we are seeing the growth rate that is there is probably coming back. This is something that I would like to read the con call and give more update about. And other things, if you look at Vedant Fashions, now they have hired Janvi Kapoor as a brand ambassador. That is the they're doing a lot of marketing initiatives. They're spending a lot on advertising. But again, really interesting to see if this, what you're seeing, the kind of growth that you're seeing with Manyavar, is it a one-time thing? Is it just for one quarter, as part of one quarter, or is it something that is sustainable that we will see over the next few quarters? Is something to watch out for. Okay, so those are the four companies. If you look all the four companies, right, once upon a time, very good, very great growth engine. But if you look at right now there is no growth at all. If you look at all the other parameters that are there for them, whether it is SSG, whether it is demand, none of them are working in the favor of the companies. This is why I keep telling you have to track the companies, because once the companies that were good can always turn bad, because with or without their fault, and ones that are bad can always turn good, right? We can see that Metro, V-Mart, Go Fashions, great companies during the last 2 years that were there. But I mean last 3 years ago, if you tell 2020 to 2022, but the last 2 years, 2022 to 2024, if you see, it has been a complete down cycle for them. Similarly, Vedant Fashions, if you look, it was completely not performing well for the last 3 years, and now you see this is a quarter where they have started showing some growth, right? So that's what I'm trying to convey, that any company can turn bad and any company can turn good. What is important is we continue to track. Okay, so that's it for today's video. For tomorrow's video, what I'll do is I will take, usually we talk about things like opportunities, we talk about what are the right metrics we see. Tomorrow I'll give an example of a company that is there in Q2, and I will show you you as to, like, what you should do or how you should avoid a company, what are the reasons. Okay, so that's it for today's video. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.